Good morning. So the other day I had to go get gas at the gas station, and as I was pumping my gas, the television came on, so the gas TV, which completely blows my mind that they have. But anyway, so it was talking about how to counter the coronavirus. And of course, it gave information on proper hand washing and social distancing. But then it turned and it started talking about grace. Well, maybe not grace exactly, but it talked about how people are not really their best selves and how we should be giving them grace, or that we should be more understanding of them. And I was just completely floored. It was like the gas station TV was reading my mail, because earlier that week I just had been trying to get my girls to go to bed and getting them in the bathtub, and one of my daughters just started sharing and just unloading all of her ideas that she had in her head, and I was just done. I was done, and it took all that I had not to just shut it down and to listen patiently. And I have to be honest, I didn't do it the best way that I possibly could. And I just was ready for them to go to bed. I had nothing left to give. It's hard. It really has been hard. And I bet that you could say the same for yourself. That it's been difficult. We're all emotionally and spiritually empty, and we just don't know how or when that we can refuel. There's just a limit of how that self-care usually happens for us. And so of course we're struggling, and that's okay. But the question is, so where do we go from here? We recognize the problem, so what is the solution? And in Ephesians, it really brings my mind to Ephesians 5 verses 1 and 2. And Paul says, "Therefore be imitators of God as beloved children, and walk in love as Christ loved us and gave himself up for us, a fragrant offering and sacrifice to God." Now, today we're talking about giving without sparing. And in this whole series, we're talking about love and the practicality of love in our lives right now. And I think where that love intersects with giving is in the person of Jesus. And so we know this idea of giving comes from Jesus. In Matthew, he says, he was going to give his life as a ransom for us all. And then in Romans 8:32, he says that God did not spare his son, but gave him up for us. And John 3:16, "For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son, that whoever believes in him would not perish." And so with this idea of giving and that where do we get this giving, we can look to Jesus. We can look to Jesus, who did give, and he gave without sparing. And when we tap into that, we have this unending reservoir, this fountain of abundance that we can come to each and every day. And don't get me wrong, it takes work. There's discipline involved in it. It means being in the Word. It means praying constantly. It means taking every thought captive and placing it at the feet of Jesus. But when we do that, it goes back to what Paul says about being transformed, our minds being transformed. That reservoir that we feel like is dried up then becomes this flowing stream that we can always come back to. Because giving isn't just about finances. It isn't about just time and about resources. It is about the abundance of the heart. And when we fill our hearts, fill our minds, fill our souls with the person of Jesus by his Holy Spirit, and we can encounter a living God, we will be transformed. We will be able to give without sparing. despairing.